Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, text number 29. Jivvana Bhakti Bhagavad Gunanamadheyam Chetaschana Smarati Taccharanarvindam Krishnaya no namati yashira ekadapi Tanana yadvam asato krita vishnu kritya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name and qualities of Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna even once, and whose heads do not bow down even once before Lord Krishna. Send me those who do not perform their duties towards Vishnu, which are the only duties in human life. Please bring me all such fools and rascals. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Vishnu Krityan is very important in this verse because the purpose of human life is to please Lord Vishnu. Varnashrama dharma is also meant for that purpose. As stated in the Vishnu Purana, Varnashramacharavata Purushena Para Puman Vishnuraradhyate Pantha Nanya Tattosha Karanam. Meaning, human society is meant to follow strictly the Varnashrama dharma, which divides society into 4 social divisions, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and 4 spiritual divisions, Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. Varnashrama dharma easily brings one nearer to Lord Vishnu, who is the only true objective in human society. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnum. Unfortunately, however, people do not know that their real self-interest is to return home back to Godhead or to approach Lord Vishnu. Durashaya ye bahirartha maninha. Instead, they are simply bewildered. Every human being is expected to perform duties meant for approaching Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Yamaraj advises the Yamadutas to bring him only those persons who have forgotten their duties towards Vishnu. Akrita Vishnu Krityan. One who does not chant the holy name of Vishnu, Krishna, who does not bow down to the deity of Vishnu, and who does not remember the lotus feet of Vishnu is punishable by Yamaraj. In summary, all Avaishnavas, persons unconcerned with Lord Vishnu, are punishable by Yamaraj. So this is a very important verse. This is the verse spoken by Yamaraj to his messengers, Yamadutas. Yamadutas had failed in capturing Ajamila because Ajamila had performed the highest, the most pious, more beyond piety, the highest activity of chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna. And so he was immediately cleansed, washed off from all the sins that he had performed in all his past lives. So the Yamadutas were confused. How come such a sinful man has been immediately washed off from all the sins of all the past life just by chanting one holy name of Lord Narayana? So they did not understand this whole concept of chanting, because this was the first time that they had come across this. So they go back to Yamaraj, their masters, and they're asking him questions, and Yamaraj is replying. And Yamaraj is explaining to his servants, Yamadutas, the glorious position of a devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. So in this verse, Yamaraj is giving the candidate list of who can come to me. And he gives 3 listings. Who can come? Who should Yamadutas bring to Yamaraj? These are the 3 people whom the Yamadutas should bring to Yamaraj. Number 1, Jivva na vakti bhagavad guna nama dheyam. Jivva, one whose tongue, na vakti, does not chant Bhagavad Guna Nama Dheyam. Bhagavat Guna Nama, the glories and the holy names of Lord Krishna. Bring them to me. The second, Chetas Nasmarati Tat Charanaravindam. The second candidates are them whose heart do not remember even once the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Bring them to me. So one who does not chant the holy name of Krishna or chant the glories of Krishna, bring them to me. 2, who does not remember the lotus feet of Krishna, bring them to me. And number 3, Krishnayo no namati. Na vakti, na smarati, no namati. Na vakti means who does not chant. Na smarati means who does not remember Krishna or his lotus feet. And no namati means one who does not bow down his head. Yash shira, bow down his head, shira, even once, ekadapi. So you can imagine the power of bowing down in front of Lord Krishna even once. Imagine. Because the special instruction is, bring them to me who has not bowed down in front of Lord Krishna even once. That means if you have bowed down to Lord Krishna even once, just imagine what a credit that is to our spiritual account, that you will not go back to you will not be a candidate for Yamaraj. So, these 3 things who do not do, bring them to me. And he says, the last line is, Asato krita Vishnu krityan. And Prabhupada starts this translation by saying that this Vishnu krityan is the most important point in this verse. Because what is Vishnu krityan? The duties in human form of life. Vishnu kritya, duties towards Lord Vishnu. And Prabhupada is writing in the translation that these duties towards Lord Vishnu are the only duties in human life. Just look at the stress that has been given to spiritual activities. We have many duties in in our life. We have our material duties, we have our spiritual duties, and we know the importance of spiritual duties, because finally it is these spiritual duties that is actually going to save us at the end of bhajan karo. Whatever you do will be tested at the time of death, and at the time of death only your spiritual duties will be taken into account for your future journey in life. So Prabhupada is saying that this Vishnu Krityan are the only duties in human life. There is no other duty, because all other duties is superficial in one sense, because at the end of this life, none of those things are going to matter. At the end of this life, the only thing that will matter is what is your spiritual asset, which depends on the spiritual duties that you have performed, and that will decide your future life. So you see, these are so important, and such simple spiritual duties. Chant the holy name of Krishna, remember Krishna's lotus feet, remember Krishna, Smarati, Vakti, and Namati, and bow down in front of Lord Krishna. And if you see, all the scriptures are repeatedly saying the same thing everywhere. In Bhagavad Gita, Manmana, thinking, Mad Bhakto, become my devotee, worship me and offer your obeisances. Here also offer your obeisances, remember me and chant the holy name. Satadam Kirtayanto Ma. So the same instructions are being repeated in the scriptures just to emphasize, just to stress the importance of chanting the holy names of Krishna. And we have no other duties in this human form of life save and except this. As it is said, these are the only duties. And Prabhupada is quoting one verse to further stress that how Varnashrama Dharma, which is our actual duty, which is how the society should be organized, it brings one nearer to Lord Vishnu, and nearer to Lord Vishnu, who is the only true objective in this human life. See, in this human form of life, we have some objective, some goal to reach. And we should not be chasing after some false objective. We should be chasing after the right, the correct, the true objective. So here Prabhupada is saying that Vishnu is not only the objective, is not only the true objective, he is the only true objective for human society. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnum. People do not know that the real swartha gati, the real self-interest is Vishnu and nothing else. People do not know, again Prabhupada is writing, that the real self-interest is to return home, back to Godhead, to approach Lord Vishnu. Every human being is expected to perform duties meant for approaching Lord Vishnu. In one place, Prabhupada writes, if going back to Godhead or realizing Vishnu is the goal of human form of life, then it should be done by all means and all our endeavor and energy should be put into it. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Because finally, if only thing that's going to matter is the devotional duties that I have done, then I should do it tivrena. I should not do it sluggishly or sometimes do this, sometimes do that. No. Like Prabhupada says, we should be engaged in devotional service constantly, not casually. If you take to devotional service casually, the result also will be something like that. Casual results we will get. But if you want the perfect result, going back to Godhead, then constantly we have to be engaged in devotional service. So here, in this verse, the first word, Jiva na Vakti, one who does not chant. This Jiva, the tongue, is a very, very important word and something that we must understand it, how fortunate, how blessed we are to have been given this tongue by Lord Krishna to chant His holy name. The entire Bhagavad Gita, if it has to be summarized in 2 words, what is the 2-word summary of Bhagavad Gita? What is the 2-word summary of Bhagavad Gita? All 700 verses summarized in 2 words. Surrender to Krishna. That's a 2-word summary of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna spoke 700 verses just to conclude, surrender to me. Matta parataram nanya, there is no truth higher than me. So surrender to Krishna. Suhridam sarva bhutanam, I am your best friend, so surrender to me. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitama, I am everything, I am your father, so surrender to me. And Krishna is again and repeatedly telling, Ma Shucha, do not fear, I will protect you. So Krishna is giving us this most important instruction of surrendering to Him. That is the goal. If you have understood surrender to Krishna is the goal of Bhagavad Gita, you have understood the 700 verses. Now Prabhupada, what does surrender to Krishna mean? How do we understand it practically? What is surrender to Krishna? So Prabhupada gives another very interesting 2-word summary of surrender to Krishna. What is the other 2-word summary of surrender to Krishna? And in this 2-word summary, the word surrender is again repeating. So surrender to Krishna means surrender your tongue. Surrendering the tongue. It's very interesting. So surrendering the tongue means surrender to Krishna, yes. So I have a tongue, this is my tongue. Why I should, when you talk of surrendering something, That means you have to give that something or use that something for someone else. That is the meaning of surrender. Like a servant is surrendered to his master. Meaning what? If a servant has to be surrendered to his master, the servant has to use all his energy, all his service in the master's service. He has to use himself for master's service. That is surrender of the servant. So surrender of the tongue means I should use this tongue, its functions, for the service of Krishna. Why Krishna? This is my tongue. Why I should use it for Krishna? It may be your tongue, but it has been given to us by Krishna. One of the indriyas, one of the creation, that 24 elements, one of them is tongue. One of the indriyas is tongue. So the tongue has been given by Krishna. So I must use it in Krishna's service. And if you can surrender the tongue in this way, using it in Krishna's service, then your surrender of tongue is surrender to Krishna. And how do we use the tongue? What are the two functions of the tongue? To vibrate and to taste. So that's what Prabhupada always said. If we are always vibrating Hare Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, and we are always tasting Krishna Prasada, we should never be neglectful. This is very important. We are so blessed, fortunate that we have an opportunity to always taste Krishna Prasadam. So just chanting Krishna's name and tasting Krishna's Prasadam is surrender of tongue, and that is surrender to Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right from the time that he was born, even before he was born, while he was about to be born, he demonstrated this important principle of surrendering the tongue right from the time he was born. When he was born, it was an eclipse, lunar eclipse, and the whole country was chanting Hare Krishna. So you see, he appeared at the time when the whole country was chanting Hare Krishna to explain that this is my function, this is what I am going to preach and profess and make people do. When he was a small boy also, he displayed some wonderful pastimes. When he was a small boy, he would start crying. And then he would stop crying only when someone was chanting Hare Krishna. So all the devotees in that area, they found this very interesting, and sometimes they would purposefully pinch Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to make him cry. And then they would start chanting Hare Krishna to see whether he stops crying. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would stop crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right from the time he was born, he displayed such wonderful pastimes just to preach that this Kali Yuga Dharma is engaging the tongue in chanting Hare Krishna. So our spiritual journey begins with the tongue. The spiritual journey begins with the tongue, and if we can use this tongue properly, you will get all kinds of realizations and complete spiritual perfection just by this single thing called the tongue. Sometimes people ask, can you show me God? Can you see God? Then I will believe that God exists. Yes, you can see God also with this tongue. That's why Prabhupada used to say this chanting of Hare Krishna is a very peculiar process. Why? Because you can even see God with the tongue. Seeing God with the tongue? What does this mean? Tongue is meant to taste, not to see. But no, this tongue is so wonderful that it will help you to even see God, realize God. See how important this jivva is? You can see God through the tongue. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahayam indriyehi sevan mukhehi jivvado swayameva spurati adaha. We cannot see God with our eyes, with these, because these are all blunt senses, material senses. But we should be interested in seeing God. So how can God be seen? Sevan mukhehi jivvado, the same jivva. If you serve Lord with the tongue can be used in service by chanting and tasting. So if you serve God with this tongue, God, you don't have to make any effort to see God. Swayameva spurati adaha. God himself will reveal to you. Just see how wonderful it is. Seeing God is not an ordinary thing. For something that is very difficult, you have to make some effort. But here, no effort. Simply vibrate nicely. And God Himself will reveal Himself to us. Just like Prabhupada gives that nice example of the sun. Suppose you want to see the sun and it's night time. In the night time, can you see the sun? You cannot see the sun. You have to wait for the sun to reveal himself. And when the time is right, when it's morning, then the sun will reveal himself automatically. You cannot in the night time, even if you want to see the sun, you take a strong flashlight, a strong torch. Where is the sun? Let me search. You cannot. The sun has to reveal himself to you when the time is right. So Prabhupada said, you have to prepare yourself. You have to come to that time, to that ripe time, and the time will be right when we are using this tongue nicely in chanting Hare Krishna. Then one day Krishna himself will reveal everything to us. So you see, by this tongue, what can be achieved? Everything can be achieved. Complete perfection in spiritual life can be achieved just by this tongue. So we have to be very careful in using this tongue in serving the Lord. If we do not use the tongue in Lord's service, if we use the tongue in something else, material, then what will be the result? People outside, because they don't know what is Krishna, what is Krishna consciousness. We are all so busy in talking different things. But the result is, Kala is taking away our life. And we are going to lose our life by not using this tongue in the service of Krishna. Imagine if somebody is told, you're going to lose your life. How scary it is. Actually, people are losing their life by not using this tongue in the service of the Lord. And one day they will meet their end. Just like the example is given, the frogs in the rainy season. The frogs, they're very happy when there is a rain. And you see in the rainy season, in the grass, the frogs will be croaking. Kokodoko, kokodoko. They'll be croaking very nicely. Very happy and their croaking signifies they're very happy and they're very happy in life by croaking. But what happens when the frogs croak? The snakes understand, here is a frog, go and eat him. And the frogs lose their life. So simply, nice croaking, nice rain, very nice, cool atmosphere, but they are losing their life. So this tongue has been given to us only for performing Vishnu Kritya, duties towards Lord Vishnu. And when we do that, then, like the term is used, this tongue is considered to be chaste. There are two, terms connected to chaste. One is a chaste wife and the other is a chaste tongue. Just like a wife, she will always like to be chaste. A woman will always like to be chaste. Means always serving the husband. That is the wife's chastity. So similarly, we also have this tongue. And just like a woman will always like to be chaste, similarly we should also know that I also should be always chaste. And my chastity is to use this tongue in Vishnu Kritya and in duties of Lord Vishnu. Because Lord Vishnu, the wife, belongs to the husband. So the wife must serve the husband. So this tongue belongs to Lord Krishna. And so the tongue must be used in Lord Krishna's service and nothing else. That is chastity. So this tongue, it has a very important activity to perform, this chanting. And Prabhupada says in one lecture very nicely, our tongue should work. Generally when we talk of work, we always think in terms of hands, legs and so many things. We work with our hands, work with our legs, work with our mind, a lot of action is there, a lot of action is involved. But the real work that we have to do in our spiritual life is ensure that the tongue is working. The tongue must work. Means always chanting. Always talking of Krishna. Always meditating on Krishna. So the tongue must work means what? Okay, so the tongue must work has an important meaning that it's important that we understand the meaning of tongue must work. So 16 rounds when we are chanting, the tongue is vibrating, right? But if you're not hearing, then the tongue is superficially working. Our tongue must really work, means when the tongue is vibrating, the ear should be hearing. The mind should be focused in hearing the tongue's vibration. That is the meaning of the tongue working. And you see, we are so fortunate. This tongue, only a human tongue can work. There are 8,400,000 species of life, and all the 8,400,000 species of life forms have a tongue. And their tongue also work. They also shout, bark, so many things they do. They also eat. But that tongue working is not a tongue working. The real tongue working is chanting Hare Krishna, and only a human tongue has been blessed with this opportunity. So we don't know how blessed, how fortunate we are that Krishna has given us a tongue to engage in His service, and by engaging in His service, I can become free from all these material sufferings and go back to the spiritual world. Just by making this tongue work. And only a human tongue can work. So I should not lose this opportunity. That is why it is said, Prabhupada is saying, this is the only duty, the only human duty. Look at the stress that is being given. It is the foremost duty, the most important duty. There is no other duty in this human life save and except chanting, vibrating, and hearing the sound. Because this is the only thing that is going to save us. Nothing else will save us. In one lecture, Prabhupada is talking about an instrument to measure spiritual energy. You know what is the instrument to measure spiritual energy? Spiritual energy can be measured. Just like you have this, if you want to measure current, you need an amp meter. You want to measure voltage, you need a voltmeter, right? Similarly, can you measure spiritual energy? It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? So what is the instrument to measure spiritual energy? Prabhupada says the instrument to measure spiritual energy is the tongue and the ears. If you use these two instruments properly, when you have an instrument to measure current, you have to use the instrument properly. You should know where the leads have to be touched, where the wires have to be touched. If you don't use it properly, it won't give you how much energy. So similarly, this instrument, the tongue and the two ears, it can measure spiritual energy. And what is that meaning? That means if you use this instrument properly, chanting attentively, chanting clearly, hearing the sound very attentively, hearing the vibration, vibrating very clearly, distinctly chanting, then there will be a spiritual energy in yourself which you will be able to experience. Like Rupa Goswami is saying, this one tongue and two ears are not sufficient. I am feeling so much of bliss that I feel like I should have millions of tongues and trillions of ears. And this holy name, when I am chanting, it is appearing that this holy name is dancing in the courtyard of my heart, and all activities, material activities of the mind become inert. And I am experiencing, enjoying a great bliss. How is he enjoying a great bliss? How is he doing that? Because he is using this tongue and the two ears to chant and hear. So Prabhupada says, this is the instrument by which we can measure spiritual energy. You will you can feel for yourself the difference. There are so many symptoms given of, when a person is, and Prabhupada says in one place that a devotee should long for that day when all these transcendental ecstatic symptoms will arise in him. Standing of hairs on the end, and the voice failing, and so many other. Of course, it cannot be artificially done, but here Prabhupada is giving us a hint how to come to that state. You have this tongue, you have this ears, use this instrument, and you will be able to experience. And see, this instrument, this tongue and the ears, this instrument, it comes free. You don't have to pay anything to buy this instrument, and this instrument never becomes old. It comes right from the day you are born, and it will be there with you right till the time of your entire life. No taxes, nothing you have to pay. It is coming free, and is so simple and so easy to use. We just have to, so that's why Prabhupada says, he uses the word, we have to train the tongue. The jivva has to be trained. Just like if you have to use an instrument, you have to receive training, how to use that instrument. We would go to a laboratory and we would receive training. So this whole spiritual life is this training. And we should take this training very seriously. While chanting, mind should be completely focused on hearing the sound vibration. It should not get distracted. It's actually very simple. It just requires some endeavor, cheshta. So, Krishna will reveal himself. He will reveal everything to us simply by this instrument called tongue. Jivve, Rupa Goswami saying, Jivve Shri Krishna mantram japo japo satatam janma safalya mantram. He says, Jivve, in the tongue, Shri Krishna mantram. Have this mantra of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jivve Shri Krishna mantram japo japo satatam. Always chant. And if you do this, always chanting, Janma Safalya Mantram. This mantra can make your life successful. So we should be, very, very attentive, very careful. Understand this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is the most important activity, is the foremost duty. We should not take this duty lightly. If this is the only human duty, imagine how seriously we should be taking up this duty. So in this verse, so this is what is being mentioned here, that Jivva na vakti bhagavad guna namadheyam chetas na smarati taccharanarvindam krishno na namati yashira ekadapi. So when we are chanting Hare Krishna, when we are bowing down in front of Krishna, when we are thinking of Krishna, these are the spiritual duties, and we should constantly be aware that these are the things that I should be performing. My mind should be occupied with Krishna. My tongue should be chanting the holy names of Krishna. I should be paying obeisances to Krishna, and these are the things that is actually going to liberate me. So we should be reflecting, am I seriously engaged in these duties? How much of my time I am engaged in these duties? Is my time being spent in some other duties? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to Vrindavan, it's like we travel so many places. So when we are traveling, it's so easy, it's not difficult to remember Krishna, to chant holy names of Krishna, and to think of Krishna and chant when we are traveling. It's so easy. And so the inspiration is that we should take from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to Vrindavan, his tour to Vrindavan on the forest, he had the Jharikanda forest, all the pastimes he performed, and then when he was about to reach Vrindavan, the only thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing when he was on his way to Vrindavan was chanting Hare Krishna. And so it is mentioned here, Nirantara Krishna Nama Jivva Tara Gaye. Nirantara Krishna Nama Jivva Tara Gaye. Gaye means singing. Constantly his tongue is singing the holy names of Krishna. And when he's doing this, you see the spiritual energy that Prabhupada says you can measure with your tongue the spiritual energy. So the second line says, when he was continuously chanting the holy names of Krishna, Dui netre ashru vahe ganga dhara praye. Nirantara Krishna nama jivva tara gaye. Dui netre ashru vahe ganga dhara praye. From his two eyes, continuously tears are coming out like the flow of Ganges. Like that. So these are such nice inspirational statements, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, and like this there are so many other instances, so many other occurrences. When we read such things, we should deeply absorb ourselves in these statements. This is the goal of spiritual life. This is what Mahaprabhu is teaching us, this is what Aponi Achari Prabhu Porera Shikhai. Prabhu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did this, practiced this, and he's teaching it to us. And his teaching is not meant for only for pure devotees. It is meant for all kinds of devotees, for all types of devotees, for even neophyte devotees. So when we read such statements, we should actually reflect on these statements, understand what is our goal in life. This is our foremost duty, and this is what even Prabhupada is wanting us to reach, an exalted stage of spiritual life. And all this is so simple, so easy, just by using this one instrument, tongue. Krishna has given us, so we must be very, very serious in using this tongue, in engaging this tongue, in serving Lord Krishna with this tongue. Always be conscious that my mind, if it goes here and there, and pray to Krishna, Krishna, I want to serve you. I want to always serve you. Please help me. Please allow me to use my tongue always in your service. Let it not deviate here and there. Like this, when Krishna sees that a devotee is sincerely trying and he's struggling and he's putting in his best effort, he's, like Prabhupada says, we can only put in our best effort, and Krishna knows whether you're putting in your best effort or not. Even you know whether you're putting in your best effort or not. So if you are putting in your effort, if you are trying your best, and like Prabhupada says, even if we fail, it doesn't matter. Of course, there will be no failure if you're trying your best, because Krishna will help you, but that trying your best. So when Krishna, at least that is something which is doable, even in a neophyte stage, trying my best. So when we try our best to engage in Krishna's service, especially engaging the tongue, then Krishna will personally help us and we will be successful. So these are the few things. Jivva na vakti and chetas na smarati, Krishnayo na namati. So the goal in life, the only duties in life, as mentioned in this verse, is to use our tongue to chant Hare Krishna, remember Krishna, and pay obeisances to Krishna. This is the most important duty of this human form of life. So we'll end here. Grantara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.